George Bruno with the 21 Report. We're at the 21 Convention, the final event of the decade, and I'm talking with Hunter Drew. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You talked about the consequences of choice.
Yes, sir.
Give us some of those highlights.
It's basically bringing up to all the men in the audience and all those who are going to see the video that when you make a decision, you own what follows that decision. You know, and a lot of guys want to make a call and not deal with the aftermath of it. Or they want somebody else to make the call for them, not realizing by following somebody else's decisions, you're going to suffer the consequences either way.
Mm. Reminds me of something the old folks used to say, you know, if you make your bed, you got to sleep in it.
I think that needs to make resurgence. We need to have that coming back for everybody. It's getting a little sane in there, especially with online, everything we have going on, people hiding behind names.
Yeah.
They're saying and doing things online they wouldn't do in person.
Right.
Thinking that, oh, I don't have to suffer the consequences of that.
Right.
But your mind knows what you're doing. It knows if you're lying, and it knows if you're going out and, you know, putting on a persona.
Sure.
Had to be addressed.
Wow. What is the solution for this?
So to me, it's real world accountability. Mm-hmm. Men need to start meeting up with other men. Mm-hmm. And you're going to find yourself, especially in groups like this, it doesn't have to be the 21 Convention. Mm-hmm. It could be men at your church. You know, you think you can lead, go lead. You think you're in shape, go lift with them. Mm-hmm. Be held accountable, you know, and then you'll find the consequences of that.
Mm. So if a guy says, I'm going to go to the gym at 6 o'clock, join me. And the other guy's like, but I don't get up till 7. It's like, dude, set the alarm. Get your lazy ass in the gym. I'll be calling you until you show up, or I'll show up in your driveway. I mean, just literally making someone be accountable.
And if you look on the other side of that too, if you do go to the gym and they're like, well, I'm not going to go. Okay, I'll go without you. And now when you're in better shape than them, the consequences are they kept the weight on while you lost it. Yeah. And now their friend is looking better than them at the gym, or at the beach or wherever they go.
Yeah.
That's a consequence. You decided to sleep in.
Yeah, exactly. Why is that important for men?
I think we're at a point now where the struggle that men are having is that there's no mission or purpose at all because there's nobody there saying, hey, you have to do a thing if you want to get the life you feel you deserve. Mm-hmm. You know, they're like, well, if I don't make a decision, I don't have any consequences, good or bad. But that's just existing. That's not living. And that's why we're having all these men with these crises. They don't know who they are. There's no sense of identity. Mm-hmm. Nobody's holding them to the flame. Mm-hmm. So we've got to start implementing that. They've got to start meeting up. They've got to start being held accountable and owning the consequences that come from the choices they're making.
In all my years, I've never heard women talk about being accountable, calling each other being accountable. That's a real male thing, isn't it? It seems like. I never experienced that with my ex-wife, anyone making her accountable for anything.
It's probably your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going through, I'm like, well, my daughter and wife, I think that's me.
Yeah, right. What do you think is the future of the manosphere? I'm going to ask you. You asked everyone else.
It was a good question. I'm kind of glad I got to dodge it. I'm going to have to agree with what a lot of the speakers said, and that is these smaller groups that are meeting up offline. There are people that you've probably known on Twitter, let's say for 3 years. Shoot the DM, you know, hey, would you like to meet up? I know you're here, or maybe I'm going on a business trip. You know, for myself, inside the Fraternity of Excellence, we meet up. Mm-hmm. Because if you're to ban me off Twitter, if you're to remove me from the fraternity platform, these men are in my cell phone. Mm-hmm. You're not going to take my phone from me. Mm-hmm. So I can still reach out. I can still maintain my network. I can still spread the message through their means if necessary. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the future. You know, we're not going to continue to be able to live this anon Twitter zero accountability lifestyle where you can say whatever you want and not be held. Like there are men out there who, if you said what you're saying online to them, would punch you in the face.
Sure.
And now we need to see that happening. Yeah. We need to see these tribes coming together because then you learn, oh, this is how I speak to a man. And I'm not going to say this craziness because I'll get socked in the mouth. Yeah. You know, and I think if we can start developing that, you'll see a much healthier, you know, pro-male, positive masculine movement come from this. Sure. Because the men can't run their mouth online because they know they've got their tribe to go back to.
You know what you're talking about because you are part of an organization and you started this called the Fraternity of Excellence. Tell us about that.
So that is my tribe. That is where I go. What you see on Twitter is what I allow you to see. What inside the Fraternity of Excellence is me sharing myself with men who I know hold themselves accountable and to a standard. And it's interesting. We have a lot of guys here. And while there are 10 of us meeting here, you know, these men meet up every single week. different parts of the country. They're coming together. And while we have our behind closed doors online, and I was explaining this in my speech, and the Red Man group is, I thought that was going to be the pinnacle. I thought men coming together, kind of like the forums that we have, private chat groups that we have. I was like, that's really cool. Let's do that. But then a picture came out of a few guys going to dinner. And then another picture of a few more guys going to dinner. And all of a sudden, people overseas, we've got guys in Europe meeting up and having these little get-togethers. And a lot of men don't have friends. They don't have men that can call. Like if I'm in trouble, like, hey, George, you would answer the phone. Too many don't have that.
Yeah.
And that's sad. And that's what we're trying to build. And if it's not the Fraternity of Excellence, there's other groups. And again, you can forge that in your church, at your kids' school, get the other parents on board. Like, hey guys, we're going to get together and do things with the kids. Whatever it is. So FOE, I'm a little biased, but it's a good one.
Yeah. What is the scope? How far does it reach? Do you have European guys in it?
We've got guys, England, Scotland, Australia, I think Jordan. We've got guys everywhere. Canada, Mexico, all over U.S.
Do you think you'll be going to Poland next summer?
So that I missed it this year because of FOE. So we're trying to make sure the dates don't conflict. So yes, 100%.
It'd be great to go there and kind of start something in Poland. Get there.
So you're reading my mind. That's exactly what we're planning on doing.
Nail down a FOE chapter right there, and
we're actually the 10 guys. We're staying the day after this event, so we can all just come together and go do our thing and go around the town.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where you get it where you can because we all have busy lives, as you know.
Right.
So it's one of those things where you got to make it happen.
Well, you talk about it, you're doing it, you're making it work. You're walking the talk. Definitely.
In 2017, we had to talk about what we're doing. I was like, I'm trying to build a group of guys. I'm trying to get some camaraderie and brotherhood. After leaving the military, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And then here we are 3-4 years later. Whoa.
Yeah. What is your observation about the 21 convention, how it has evolved? It definitely made a pivot. There's a change. How do you feel about the change?
You've got to cut off dead ends. You've got to cut off anchors and find fuel. And what we did is we removed anchors that were holding men back, and we brought new fuel in that are moving us forward. You saw the diversification in that Red Man group.
Unreal.
I was surrounded. I honestly felt I didn't want to speak because I wanted to listen to what everybody had to say.
Yeah.
And we had Pat Stedman, Stefan Molyneux, those guys coming on. We had repeats. Ed. We brought Phil Foster on there.
Yeah.
These different names, and these men are seeing these different perspectives and realizing like, wow, there's many different cups. That's a cup, but there are many, and you don't have to look like that. You can go look like whatever it is you want to do, as long as that's what you own. And again, the consequences come from the decisions you make to become that cup.
I said a couple days ago to Phil, I said, I hope I see you on stage soon.
After we had that talk, Anthony pulled me aside, and I was like, hey, you're going to like this guy. You've seen him on Red Man Group Patriarchs. Like, why not get him on the stage now?
It's one of my favorite episodes. I think he was on, he's been on, maybe 3 shows, I guess. And I forget which one it was. It wasn't, I know I was on one with him, but it was one of the ones that I wasn't on, and it was unbelievable. I go back to that one, and he was on fire. There was one episode where he just was like, wow. He just really put a stake in the ground.
He was real. And I think he showed, something I've noticed from this 21 convention, above all else, is that the terms that are being used. We've heard a lot about beauty, a lot about creation, a lot about art. When we talk about the pivot, reflecting on everything we've done, it's become we want it to be viewed as what it is, and we got to stop hiding from the terms. And when Phil went on there was a thing of beauty there. He showed heart. He showed raw emotion it was real, and it was not some fabricated, rage. Like this was a real man sharing real thoughts. Yeah. And it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I was noticing that the men speaking this year, they're talking about that, like real things that actually matter, and human beings, and not, again, the caricature, like that's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So we have a 22 convention coming up. Pretty controversial. A convention for women taught by men. What do you think about that?
I've asked a few guys that exact question.
Yeah.
And all of us are the same. We don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great. I think if the right angle, there are couples that want to find that spark to bring them back. Maybe he's slipping with leadership. Maybe she's slipping with, her duties. to the family. Maybe something like this is that exact catalyst. If we can reach those couples, like, look, you can both go. And this isn't a case where we've got AJ Cortez who's going to woo your wife. Like, no, that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
This is a man coming to help your wife or your woman or a woman, become the best version for them to go get that family if they don't have it, better provide to their family. So my angle on this, I'll be at the Patriarchs speaking to the men, and then I'll be speaking at 22, where I'll be telling them, like, how did I get to this point with my wife? Like, what did she do? And how can that be replicated?
Yeah.
And it's not simply the actions, it's the mindset. What is the mindset of my woman? What am I passing to my daughter? And if I give that to them to take, it's just more tools in their toolbox. Maybe things they didn't think of because they're not men.
Some big changes happened. A lot of us started in 2017. A lot of us met in 2017.
Yes, sir.
At the end of that year. And some things really started churning at that point. Bonds, and even some bonds broken that we've experienced in the past year. Some gladly, some regrettably. And I know a lot of us felt like we had to take sides. It was hard. I think it was hard for a lot of people.
It was.
It wasn't, I don't think it was easy for anyone. Maybe for a couple people it was easy.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, I think it was difficult. As we are backing away and getting more of a aerial view of what happened, how did men do? Give men a report card.
We did not do our best. I would give us a D.
Yeah.
I think emotions ran high. I found myself in a very tough spot, and I was open with you guys. I started with a certain group that first came in. That's where I started. The whole Red Pill Forum, all those guys.
Yeah.
That's where I began everything.
Yeah.
Those were my original. Then I found 21Con, and then there was just like that smash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know this guy. I'm friends, but he's wrong.
Yeah.
And 21Con is doing it right. It's the solution. And I can't put a personal, relationship ahead of what's right for our cause.
Yeah.
And it's about the cause at the end of the day. It's about helping men. And I think in the fallout, I think people were just swinging, and some faces got hit that were on the fence. So be it. That's a part of the growing pains.
Yeah.
But I also think we learned quite a bit about ourselves, and I think that's the only reason that the message that was able to spin now is because the way Anthony conducted himself with staying to the cause. And all of us are sitting, flying around him. We all said our piece, and it was conflictive. But I'll give us an A+ in that point.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of this was handled behind closed doors. And in that point, that's definitely an A, because as men, not everything has to be out in the public. It's good to go ahead and close the door, throw some blows, open the door. You're friends again.
It's weird when, someone is calling you brother one day, and then 2 weeks later they're calling you asshole. And that was real hard for me to deal with. How's it going, brother? Oh, good, brother. And then, literally 2 weeks later, it's like,
It was like 3 days, And
it was just
like, we just high-fived, and now you're trying to punch me. Like,
yeah. So what is the prescription for the future? How do we handle conflict in the future as men, and kind of apply that to all men regarding all conflict in the future?
The conflict is the idea, not the man. So if you have a problem with my idea, you don't come after me or target my family. You target my idea. And the same for you. I don't target you, what it is you're doing, where it is you're going. I target the issue I have a conflict with. And when all men, in any conflict, you're not fighting the guy as much as you're fighting the idea. If you are fighting the guy, that doesn't happen on Twitter. That happens in the real world. If that's the point you're at and you need to swing, you meet up. But to have these little internet battles, like it's almost like we're losing what conflict is. Conflict is to lead to resolution.
Yeah.
Online, there's no consequences, which is what I hate. So you can't punch me. I'm going to say what I want for months and months and months. If you guys had your fight on day 3, if we all went and just went, boom, settle our score, that ends in a week.
Yeah. Well, we just went full circle back to the consequences of choice. Wow. Yeah. How is the way that we deal with conflict different than how women deal with conflict? Have you ever seen a cat fight online?
Yeah. They're vicious.
Yeah.
And they'll hold grudges too.
Yeah.
Men, we kind of know a lot of men know what violence feels like.
Yeah.
Either be throwing or be receiving.
Yeah.
So you kind of push it off until it has to happen.
Sure.
But when it happens, it's over.
Yeah.
So for them, it's nasty and it's long. Where men,
Yeah.
it'll be prolonged. But when it hits the apex,
Right.
it's instant and it's done.
Right.
I don't believe in grudges. Like,
Yeah.
I like you or I don't like you, but
Yeah.
there's no grudge about you. That's just how it is.
Yeah. I joke around and I say, I used to hold grudges, for about 4 minutes now, and I'm doing good now because I only hold them for about 3 minutes now.
Progress.
So there's progress, absolutely. Are grudges healthy? Do they give us a breather, a timeout? Do they keep us out of the ring until the smoke clears?
Grudges, not so much. I think lessons, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holding on to a grudge, well, you're bitter and you're still angry about the thing. Let the thing go, but the person who conducted the thing, they're done. They're dead.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who they mean nothing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to hold a grudge against you. You don't matter. There's no space in my head for you to rent.
Yeah. What did I hear once? It was like something about anger. It's like, they said anger is like
You swallowing the poison and expecting them to die.
the other person to die. Yeah. Yeah. I'm done swallowing poison.
And it's one of those, you have to learn it. Like, it's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Because for myself, the same thing. There are times where I'm like fuming.
Yeah.
And then I'm like going to see the family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I shouldn't be mad at my dinner table because I saw a tweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I shouldn't be mad, or irritable or short with my kids
Yeah.
because some dude doesn't like me online and he's running his mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's time to block.
Yeah.
Time to move on.
It's weird. This didn't exist before social media did it.
No.
It's weird. I think that's why we are moving offline with groups like this, what you're talking about. It just keeps it real, doesn't it?
I don't think we even know what social media is doing to us. We've
Yeah.
we've not had it long enough
Yeah.
to see the effects.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't be anonymous.
Right.
Maybe a
Right.
pen name like back when you were writing for the newspaper, but
Yeah.
you couldn't be anonymous in the real world.
Sure.
Now, there are men that other men are following that they've never seen.
Yeah.
There are men that other men are following that you don't know anything about their life.
Right.
Because they spend all their time just talking about issues and talking about problems and waking up, like you said,
Right.
waking up, finding out what's wrong with the world.
Right.
And these other men follow them.
Yeah.
That's not a man.
Yeah.
That's just a character
Yeah.
who's just playing the chord because he knows it's going to keep you in a state of perpetual anger. That's not a way to live. That's why the 21 kind, you see me.
Yeah.
You can see my mannerisms, the way I act, my success, my failures, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other men see that as well. You're a real man.
Mm-hmm.
You've shared plenty of, I don't know how many videos you have, but you've shared your thoughts on many topics.
Yeah.
And men see that, and that's a real man. And that's why when people go after you or your information, I'm like, you're a man being targeted by this cartoon character.
Yeah.
Like,
by a little coat of arms, an anime character. Yeah.
it's just, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
I think there's a sense of duty and honor inside my head that is fundamentally wrong.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. Definitely. I met guys this weekend that have like a coat of arms or something as like their little profile picture, and they're like, oh, I'm so and so, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So you're the guy that's been commenting on it. Okay, I get it. And that was weird.
Yeah.
Seeing a face of someone who's been commenting on my stuff for 2 years, I'm like, oh, I expected you to look different. You know what I mean? Like,
It's always like you build them up. It's like, this is what you look like in my head.
yeah, exactly. What a trip. So how do we end the decade here? We're laying it to rest.
I was speaking to Anthony about this. We lay it down like champions. Mm-hmm. We've done some great work. Mm-hmm. So I think we get a brief rest period. We're going to wrap this one up. When I go home, I'm hanging out until February was our next fraternity meetup. Mm-hmm. Between now and then, I'm disengaging from a lot of online activity.
Yeah.
And just a lot more writing, a lot more for me hanging out. 2020 is going to be great. It's going to be amazing. And I know there's a lot going on in 2020, but it's going to be absolutely the launching pad of some amazing things coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. How's the morning show going?
It's awesome. Thank you for asking. I really enjoyed it. When I first started, I was talking to you about it.
Tell everybody about it.
It's the Morning Brew with Hunter Drew. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go on. The time's kind of been changing because of guests all over the place. But usually it's 08 to 09 Eastern Standard Time. And it's my show. And I talk about what I want to talk about. And you're not going to hear anything about intersexual dynamics because I don't want to talk about that. You're not going to hear alpha, beta, whatever tells. I don't want to talk about it. You're going to hear men come on talking about manly experiences and their perspectives and things they've gone through in life. I had a man come on who's a father, and he realized he was getting pulled into the Twitter world, so he quit Twitter. What's that like? I feel like I spend too much time in there, but I can't quit it. Great discussion. Men like Phil Foster, other men inside the fraternity, they come on and they share real life things, not this made up theories. These are real things we're dealing with, and I think that I'm really enjoying that content.
Yeah, it's a good show, and I can't wait till you are compelled to do it 5 days a week. It's a great show.
I've considered it.
It really is. It's a great show, and the fact that it's not intergender dynamics is what makes it attractive to me.
It's real, Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not real. People don't wake up constantly thinking about that 24/7. That is unhealthy.
Some do.
You're correct.
Some do.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, and they shouldn't. Yeah. Well, I think. How long have you been doing it now?
A few months.
Yeah. And why morning as opposed to night or afternoon? Was there any reason why you chose morning?
So, I coach baseball, so my evenings are always swamped with that.
Okay, so logistics.
Yeah.
Say morning. Okay.
I really enjoy the way you run your show. I thought it was cool to start. I watched a lot of yours before I ever ran mine, and I thought it was cool to start my day like that. I'm cruising to work, and I wouldn't even watch. I would just listen, and you talk about whatever your topic was that day. But I was like, that's much better than listening to the radio. When I start my day, I'm focused. I had a great discussion with a man.
I don't even listen to the radio anymore.
No, me neither.
I mean, I just pick my favorite content creator or content creators, and I just start listening.
And while you're listening, you kind of have a conversation with the person.
Yeah.
So I've had thousands of conversations with you that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
Because I'm just in the car listening. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty. And then all of a sudden your brain's working, it's firing.
Yeah.
And people don't know how to converse anymore.
Yeah.
They have a hard time just sitting and doing this.
Yeah. What about you have shared a stage with people who've been called radicals and supremacists and misogynists and all, just pick a word, okay? And I don't know, someone said to me at Patriarch, I'm unsubscribing because you associated with Mike Cernovich. Okay. See ya. God bless you.
Thanks for letting me know.
Whatever. And then the next email was, I'm subscribing because you associate with Mike Cernovich. Yeah, wow, I didn't know you guys knew each. And I'm like, this world is just way too weird.
It truly is.
You can lose. I remember. Because when I originally started my channel, it was men's grooming, and I had a big giant beard. I shaved the beard and lost 5,000 people in one day. Your audience is
they only
fickle.
liked you for that.
Yeah, it was. The audience is fickle sometimes. It's just really weird. And my brother Tony and I, we love saying this. Everyone's cool until they're not.
Yeah. And that can happen fast.
Real fast.
Like, whoa.
Real fast. And you never know what's going to attract somebody. You never know what you might think the topic that you're going to talk about on your show, no one will relate to it. You'd be surprised. You put out some far out topic and someone's going to email you and say, wow, man, I was ready to cash it in and
that nailed
tuned into you by accident. And yeah, that happens a lot. All right, so you're out in a shed.
Yeah.
You're one of the...
I'm shed life, man. It's
shed
awesome.
life, absolutely. We gotta do the hashtag or something.
We can make it a thing.
Honestly, I did it because I smoke a pipe, and I don't smoke a pipe in the house because I don't want to gag anyone.
No.
And so I go out in the shed and smoke a pipe, and then I just started putting the tripod up in the shed.
Now it's the shed.
And then and it just became a thing. And people don't realize. Literally, it's one of them pre-built sheds that comes on a flatbed, and they dump it off in your backyard, and half of it's garden tools and gas cans and stuff. The other half
it's a real shed.
Yeah. The other half is 2 chairs, some shelves, and a light, and an oil lamp, and a propane heater. And I gave it a name. I named it, and people are hashtagging it. Somebody, I don't know, geotagged it. It's it's trippy, and it has become a thing. And as I have talked about moving, because I'm thinking about moving, and they're like, "Are you going to have a Van Gogh room at your new place?" I'm like, "Oh, gee, I never really thought about that." Sheds, man cave. I don't like man cave. I'm not into that man cave thing. But what is it about a shed? as opposed to just setting it up in your basement or living room or something?
So it obviously depends on the needs. For me, I spent 2 years in the corner of my bedroom with my laptop and the camera and the lights, 3-point lighting system. Like, I was always afraid that family would come by and think like we made porn because my whole setup is in our bedroom. And I'm like, guys, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, I would do podcasts and you'd hear the kids running by. Or my wife, we do late Red Man group, and those can run late. So that can be like 11 p.m. And my wife can't go to bed because I'm in there chatting away.
Right.
So I needed my own space. And even if I went to the basement, you know, you can hear people moving around. And my family shouldn't have to not live in their home and be comfortable in their home because I'm sitting there making something. But for 2 years they did. And I'll always appreciate that. But I was like, I need my space, babe. So what I did is, same thing. We went to Lowe's, and it was our Home Depot. It was one of the exterior finished, interior unfinished. We bought that. They dropped it off. I finished it. I ran power. And
did it come all pre-built? Like
the exterior, yeah. So the walls were up. It had windows. But on the inside, there was nothing.
Yeah.
So I got to build that the way I wanted to, which is cool.
Nice.
But I've got 2 dedicated breakers to it. It's legit.
Sweet.
It's like a small house.
Yeah.
It's a bathroom.
Nice. You'd never have to leave.
No, exactly.
All you need is a
Where's
refrigerator
Dad?
now and a
I haven't
hot
seen him
plate.
in days.
Coffee maker in there, and you're all
Golden.
set. Absolutely. Well, and some people would say, and I've heard the criticisms. I have heard them personally, like, oh, you got kicked out of your house. Like, no one should be kicking you out of your. I'm like, I want to do it.
I received the same, and I could not understand it. I'm like, I'm happy. I have a silenced, dedicated creator studio. You're not in the house. I don't want to be in the house. Like, I understand man cave because it has the connotation that you got put into one spot and that's all you're allowed to have by the wife.
Yeah.
But if it's your decision to go, like, I want this not in my living room, like we were saying earlier. I want in the basement. I'm going to design it the way I want it. Well, call it whatever you want, but that's your space. It's your house. You're doing your thing. That's cool. It's your choice. I got a shed.
Most man caves are like have a bar, like a little mini fridge, home theater seats, that kind of stuff, and they're entertainment places. It seems like our sheds are productivity places.
Yeah, I don't really relax in there. I do. I guess the relaxation I find from work.
Yeah.
I enjoy editing podcasts. It's like a weird thing in Audacity. I'm just like cleaning up the audio.
Yeah.
But I truly, that is where I go in there to work.
Yeah.
I'm writing or I'm not in there.
Have you inspired anyone else to get a shed?
Not yet, but we might be able to make it a thing.
Yeah.
It's like #ShedLife.
There really is something to it. I mean, when you think about it, if you had to create a studio, it could cost a lot of money, and just getting a shed at Lowe's or Home Depot.
It was cheap.
They're great. People don't realize that you can do a lot in a shed.
I know you can podcast and write, for sure.
Have you given it a name?
When you said that, I decided to name it. So I just named it Shelby. It's Shelby the Shed.
Cool.
It's after my first dog.
Cool. Now, is it your space?
Yeah, nobody goes in there.
All right, so kids,
unless they're coming to see me.
Field hockey equipment is not in there. And,
Negative.
The wife doesn't put the summer lawn furniture in there, and in the fall.
So we actually have a backup shed. Okay. So there's a bunch of sheds on my property.
That's great. That's great.
So we got a shed that has all the tools and all that stuff.
Right.
And then we got the creator shed.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting another one, just like have a bunch of sheds connected to each other,
Yeah.
like they do with like those containers.
Yeah.
Get like a whole shed compound.
Oh my gosh. Some of the ladies where I work watch my show. They kind of get what I'm doing, and one woman said, "I want a shed."
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
#ShedLife.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so funny. What is the future of FOE?
We're on a really good track. We've got our second official meetup this February. We're up to 2 a year. The numbers are growing.
Was that the
work
one that
being
you
done-
did during the Poland?
That was our first
thing?
one.
The first, okay.
So those lined up. Unfortunately, I was really looking forward to going, but FOE is my tribe. That's where my priorities are.
That's your baby, man.
So this next one's going to be in Florida. We got a pretty cool space that we're going to be going to. A bunch of obstacles, a bunch of challenges for the men, and we try to make it a crucible. So you land, you shake hands, meet. The next morning, we're getting work done, and we're going through something. Last time we climbed 2 14,000-foot mountains in Colorado, and we followed that up the next day we had Praetorian Swift come out. He did a bunch of firearms training with all the guys. At the end of that, they were like best friends. because they went through a struggle together. They learned something together. Every night we feasted together, and we'll be doing that again. And the caliber of men in there, we kick out the men that don't do work. You know, it's not about money. I want you to represent me. So every man here represents my group. And if one of them is getting drunk or doing stupid things or picking fights, and I say, oh, that's an FOE guy, and now you're like, oh, well, that's FOE, a bunch of like drunk clowns or a bunch of like, you know, angry dudes. You're like, you ruin it, so go away. I don't want that. I want men who are doing work, you know, whatever it is. We've got single, divorced, young, old. I mean, as long as you're a man doing work, we want you.
Interesting. Well, shed life. Hashtag shed life. That's all I can say. A conversation with Hunter Drew. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
What was your experience so far with the 21 convention?
Oh, outstanding. Professional, all across the board.
Really good energy with a lot of people, and I just like it because it's a very positive direction.
This, George, this has been a first-class event.
It's fantastic. You guys run a really tight ship. I've been to a lot of conventions over the course of my business career, and I can tell when things are well-run and when things aren't, and this is a very well-run operation. I was very impressed.
It's pretty incredible to see where Anthony's brought it, especially from last year, which was my first year here, and to see the upgrades he's made, it's been incredible.
I've got my notebook, and with every speaker, I've written down about 2 or 3 lines under each of the speakers of just the key prime stuff. That's good. That's good.
It's very surreal, man. I'm really enjoying it. I'm happy to live in such an era where such a thing like this is possible.
I have never seen a group of guys like this, a group of 200 men who are focused, squared away, they're working on their values. Just never met a bigger group of wonderful guys.
It's kind of neat because I've been to a fair amount of conventions in my day, but you never see one where the guys like here you can just see Ed Lattimore talking to Tanner about boxing.
Yeah.
You just sit down and then you tell your boxing experiences. Everybody's kind of pinging off each other. It's nice.
It has been fantastic, and it's been 4 days of guys all on the same page, working in the same direction.
Fascinating meeting some of the people, hearing their stories. You got people traveling from other parts of the world to come here just to see some of the speakers. That's amazing.
The thing that's impressed me is everybody here is very serious.
Yeah.
They're taking it, close to their heart.
What a great convention.
Thanks, George.